Hey everybody, we're going to be going through 11 reasons why people say no to atheism. And we're going to get right into this video right now, but please do me a favor, don't forget to click share right below this video and send this to your atheist friends. Together you and I may be able to snap our atheist friends out of the madness and bring them back into the reality of reason and logic and common sense. So let's talk about 11 reasons why atheism just doesn't make sense and why people say no to atheism. Do you know right now atheism is on the decline worldwide? Christianity is still growing, and it's growing in leaps and bounds in China and also in Africa. And with those huge populations, Christianity looks like it will not be stopped. And they're still the #1 most powerful force for good in the world. Let's start off with something that you're going to be shocked with. Let's go right here, and I want you to look up this video on YouTube. Go to Ian Mathwiz channel, Ian Mathwiz channel, and look for this video on his channel. Matt completely snaps on the atheist experience. Now look at his, this is what you call the kindness of atheism here. Notice how he's very angry. He's actually saying the F word right there to a caller. Now the caller is asking the Atheist Experience Show the question that the Atheist Experience Show hates to hear. They hate this question, folks. Callers are calling the Atheist Experience Show asking them, what proof and evidence can you provide that proves atheism is accurate and correct? And this face right here is what you get. This is not good. This is an angry atheist right here. So you don't want to make the Atheist Experience Show mad. They get very angry if you call up and ask this question, what proof and evidence can you provide that proves atheism is accurate and correct? One of the reasons, of the 11 reasons why atheism just doesn't make sense, is people don't trust atheists. I'm going to show you some studies on this, and one of the reasons is because of shows like this, where the caller calls up very nice and kind, and he gets said the F word to him, and the mean atheist here is saying shut the F up to the caller that's being really kind and nice. Now if you go to my website, I'm going to show you this study. Notice it says atheist versus rapist. Atheist trusted less than rapist, and this is from about.com. This is not my website, but I'm going to put all these links on my website. Go here to chaka right here, and I'm going to be covering all these topics, and you can see everything. All the videos will be in one place at chaka.net. So #1 is atheists are not trusted, and I'm going to read you part of this article. It says, the distrust of atheists is well known, but did you know that atheists are distrusted as much as, or possibly a bit more than, rapists? They did this study, and you can read all about the study right here, where just random people were picked, and we were asked about, you know, which group of people do you trust, and Christians were way at the top of the list, and atheists were at the very, very bottom of the list. Why are atheists the least trusted people in the world? Well, go to this video here. Oh, this is the other one we're going to talk about in a second. Hold on. Giving you a sneak preview there. Go to this video here. Make sure you go to Ian Mathwiz's channel. Notice it's IAN and then Mathwiz, and type in Matt completely snaps on the atheist experience. This is the unedited video where you'll actually hear them cussing at the caller. Now, what's really weird is they have this monster they made of spaghetti up here. This is why atheists are getting this bum rap. You shall reap what you sow, my atheist friends. Notice the distrust of atheists is well known, but did you know atheists are distrusted as much as possibly a bit more than rapists? So #1 of the 11 reasons atheism just doesn't make sense, 11 reasons people say no to atheism, are shows like this, and people like Richard Dawkins, who comes off kind of mean and rude and not loving. When you think of Christianity, you think of loving, you think of Jesus Christ, the epitome of love and forgiveness. But when you think of atheism, you think of people like, oh, Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao, murderers, Kim Jong-il, the Khmer Rouge. These guys just murdered hundreds of millions of people under the banner of atheism. These are atheist regimes. So let's now go on to another reason why atheism just doesn't make sense. Look for this video, Atheists Experience Destroyed Shock of God Style. And the atheist calls up and asks the atheist show, what proof and evidence do you have that atheism is accurate and correct? We all know that show, they hate that question because they don't know how to answer it. They've never answered it once. So when you look at atheism, there really is no reason to be so serious about atheism. What doesn't make sense, and ask your atheist friends this question. Ask them, say, do you believe that the universe is going to die eventually and everyone in it is going to die? This is scientifically been proven that unless God steps in, by the way, that the universe and all of humanity, everything's going to die. The universe is going to die. Well, the atheists know this, yet they take their atheism so seriously, even creating blogs and TV shows and radio shows. And it reminds me of when the Nazis were fighting against the United States. I remember seeing clips of the Nazis just before the United States went and attacked them and defeated them. And the day before, the Nazis were triumphantly goose-stepping through this town that they had taken, and little did they know that the next day the United States would totally decimate the Nazis. And to me it seems like atheists are similar to the Nazis. They're goose-stepping what they think is to victory, but maybe the atheists forgot about their future on their own worldview. On the atheist worldview, they'll admit to you the universe dies and everything dies and everyone within it dies. So it seems to me that atheists are really taking their goose-stepping march to victory a little bit premature, because the end result of atheism on their worldview is death. Everything dies on the worldview of atheism. So I am confused why these atheists create blogs and even YouTube videos and spend so much time promoting a worldview that ends in total failure and death. But not so with the Christian worldview. If you compare what the Christians say about their worldview and you compare it to what the atheists say about their worldview, this isn't even what I'm saying about atheism. This is what the atheists will tell you to their face, that their worldview ends in death. It seems to me like atheists are really taking their goose-stepping march to death way too seriously. Whenever I see atheist shows, blogs, videos, or whatever, I'm thinking, why is this person so serious and so intense about their atheism? Don't they know that on their worldview, everything's going to fail? Atheism ends in utter, total failure and death on their worldview. This is not what you and I are telling them. This is what they'll admit to you, to your face. So another reason of the 11 reasons why people say no to atheism is there's no reason to be serious about atheism. Maybe the atheists are trying to convince themselves. That's what it really is, isn't it? Because they're certainly not convincing the world, considering the majority of the world is theist and atheism is but a squeak in society. Now, another reason why people say no to atheism is because atheism doesn't use common sense. People that are in atheism, they just don't use common sense. I'll have people tell me that, I'll have atheists tell me, they'll say, well, God killed all these people in Sodom and Gomorrah, and I don't like God because he destroyed people in the flood. And I'll ask them, I'll say, so that's really why you don't like God, is because he destroyed people in the flood? And they'll say yes. And I'll say, don't you understand that it doesn't make sense for you to say that you don't like God because he did that, but then you wonder why people don't believe you when you say that you don't believe that God exists. So it doesn't make any sense. Now, this video right here is another thing that doesn't make sense about atheism. This is the Atheist Experience Show admitting that Jesus Christ's resurrection could be true. They actually say it. Right here on this video, go to www.chakanow.net, right here, see at the top. And they admit that, yeah, Jesus could have risen from the dead and the resurrection could be possible. So this really gives us pause to think, well, why would someone be an atheist? I'll give you an example. Let's say you're at a crossroads and 50% of the evidence is on the side of atheism. I don't agree with that, but let's just use this as an analogy. I don't believe there's any proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. But let's say 50% of the evidence was on the side of atheism and 50% was on the side of Christianity. Every one of us listening to this would say we're more rational to choose the side that leads to eternal life, heaven, fellowship with God. We're totally more rational to choose that if both sides were weighed 50-50 than we are to choose the atheist worldview that ends in death. And so ask your atheist friends that the next time you're talking to them, say, isn't it true that on your worldview everything dies? And then ask them why they're such a goose-stepping Nazi to total death and destruction. It totally reminds me of the Nazis when they were very positive and confident as they were goose-stepping through the town, and then the very next day the United States decimated them in battle. And I just think atheists, they need to remember where their future is on their worldview. On their worldview, the universe dies and everything within it dies. In reality, I believe that there is a hell and there is a heaven. So I think their worldview, either choice that they want to happen, whether they go to hell or whether everything is destroyed in the universe, both of those are their choices. You either have bad or really, really bad. And so it doesn't make any rational sense to be atheist. And one of the main reasons is because there's no evidence that atheism is even true. Let's go to another reason why people say no to atheism. Have you ever noticed that atheists never bash Satan, but they always bash God? There's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus says, you do the will of your Father. And I think that this could be a problem with atheism. You know, Jesus Christ talks about that, about people, their father being Satan. And I find it very interesting that I've scoured YouTube, I've scoured the internet, and literally thousands upon thousands of videos we see where atheists bash God. You ever wonder why they never bash Satan? Satan done a lot of evil things. He's caused disease to come into the world. He's caused the fall of mankind. He has caused people to be demon possessed. Remember in scripture in Genesis, he causes Adam and Eve to actually die their spiritual death and then a physical death. Satan totally has done a lot of evil things. And in fact, you yourself, you the person listening to this, the reason why you and I will pass away one day is because of a direct result of what Satan did. Now, why don't atheists bash Satan? This is another reason why people have this distrust of atheism and why atheism just doesn't make sense, is they always bash God, but they never bash their father. I mean Satan. So let's go to this video here. Let's scroll all the way down. Okay, go to chakanow.net and watch this video here. These Christians go to this atheist meeting and they're asking the atheist some very simple, easy questions that someone even in elementary school could answer. Very, very simple questions. And the atheists turn into like Bill Clinton and they start evading the question. Well, you know, that all depends. What is it? Well, you know. Well, that all depends what is. I mean, I'd like to answer the question, but could you be a little more clear? I mean, you've got to listen to this. This is a very famous agnostic atheist, atheist agnostic. Who knows what they are? The atheists change from one thing to the next daily. And this is the most embarrassing video I've ever seen, really, for atheism that I've seen in a while. And there's a lot of embarrassing atheist videos out there. But this one, the atheists can't even answer simple questions. And the torture goes on for 14 minutes as the atheist bobs and weaves and can't answer simple questions and contradicts himself 13 times in the video. Just pathetic. Go to chakanow.net, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be faithless, but believe. Scroll down here to the foggy video. The reason why it was foggy is because it was an atheist rally and God rained on the atheist rally. God's like, atheism's all washed up. Let's go through another reason why atheism just doesn't make sense and why people say no to atheism. But this is another reason there's no straight answers that an atheist will give you. You notice how they evade all the time. So we went to how atheists are the least trusted. We talked about how there's no reason to take atheism so seriously because the end result is in death. That's number 2 there. We talked about how atheists won't use common sense. They'll talk about all the people that God killed in the Bible through judgment, but yet they want us to believe that they believe that God doesn't exist. It just doesn't make sense. They'll talk about how God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah and how that was unfair that God did that, but then they want us to believe them when they say they don't believe God exists. Right, my atheist friends. Can you see why atheists are the least trusted group in society, folks? We talked about how atheists always bash God, but they never bash Satan. Who's your daddy? We talked about how atheists don't give straight answers on this video here. This video, you're going to think that the atheist is just playing dumb or pretending to be dumb, or you're not going to believe it's real. This is a real video, totally unedited. The atheist is just bobbing and weaving. He doesn't want to answer any questions because he knows that he has no proof and evidence that his worldview is accurate and correct. Now, when you go to chakanow.net, you're going to see that science is on the Christian side and not on the atheist side. Go to this video here at chakanow.net, and the reason why these two atheists are scared is because this Christian caller calls up and schools them. He totally destroys the atheist experience show, and he gets them to admit that yes, Jesus Christ could have risen from the dead. They also admit that they have no proof and evidence that abiogenesis is true. You'll actually see them admit that, and you'll see them, the atheists, contradict themselves on the video. This video here is extremely good. Everyone should see this video. Go to chakanow.net and check it out. I mean, it's rare when you get an atheist show to finally buckle under the pressure as sweat's coming off this guy's bald forehead here, dripping down, as the Christian gets him to admit that yes, it is true, Jesus Christ could have resurrected from the dead. Watch the beads of sweat pile up here and then also on her forehead as the Christian caller totally decimates the atheist experience show. But we got to give credit to them. I think we should pray that the Atheist Experience show stays on for a long time. Guys, seriously, they're bringing so many people to Christian theism. Rumor has it that they're going to be changing their name to the Agnostic Experience show after that call. Now, let's go through another problem for atheism. Why do people say no to atheism? Well, because there's no sanity involved in atheism. Atheists will deny that God exists, but then they'll spend every hour, minute, second, moment trying to bash God. They'll create TV shows and they'll bash God. They'll create blogs and they'll bash God on their show. They'll create YouTube videos and they'll bash God. It just doesn't make sense. They spend all their waking moment bashing God, and then they wonder why articles come out like this: Atheist least trusted group in society. That's another reason why people say no to atheism. It just doesn't make sense. Do you know that the people that talk about God the most are atheists? And I want to tell you something, and you think about this, it's really true. Think about this for a moment. If there were no God, there would be no atheist. The fact that atheists exist, that they're fighting against something, proves that God exists. The atheist inadvertently is like Wile E. Coyote. They strap a rocket on their back and then they accidentally shoot themselves off the cliff. By bashing God constantly and by just bashing God's word, and by just totally disagreeing with God's commandments and everything, and just spending every waking moment creating blogs, YouTube videos, Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, everything just for the sole purpose of bashing God, it has the reverse effect. It actually brings more of a focus into God's existence. And the atheist is really like a man sitting on a tree branch sawing it off while he's sitting on it, and then he falls down and breaks his back. If you want to see a good example of this, go to chaka ladies and gentlemen, and look at this video here. Even the Atheist Experience Show admits the resurrection of Jesus Christ is possible. Let's go through another reason why people say no to atheism. We've all heard the stale, outdated, weak argument that when you ask atheists for proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct, what they'll say is they don't believe in God. This is what they'll say. They'll say they totally disagree with all the theistic claims. The problem though, my atheist friends, and please guys, click share below this video and send this to your atheist friends. The problem is, by an atheist opening up their mouth just uttering words, that does not prove that atheism is accurate and correct. You're just stating opinion. What you need to do is give some science, some archaeological proof, some historical proof. Heck, we'll even take some philosophical argument. Any argument. Give us some arguments why we should believe that atheism is accurate and correct. See, the Christians have lots of arguments. They have the argument from objective morality, the ontological argument, the teleological argument, the cosmological argument, prophecies that came true, the historicity of Jesus Christ. So when an atheist says they disagree with Christianity, or they disagree with Islam, therefore atheism is true, or they disagree with anything, therefore atheism is true, that's not logically correct. Just because you disagree with something doesn't automatically make your view true. Let me show you a flaw in the atheist argument. When an atheist says they don't believe in God, they reject all theistic claims or whatever, therefore atheism is true, it doesn't hold water. Watch how I can show you it's logically an incoherent statement that the atheists say. Let's say someone's a Muslim and the Muslim says the same exact thing the atheist says, and says, I don't believe that atheism is true. I reject atheism. Are we then to say, well, because the person rejects atheism, therefore Islam is true? Of course not. See, what happens if the Muslim says that atheism isn't true and the atheist says that Islam isn't true? Are we to actually think, using the atheist logic, that now Islam and atheism are both true? Of course not. What you do, my atheist friends, is you use reason and you use logic, you use science, give some type of proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. But if you go to this video, Atheist Experience Destroyed Shock of God style, that's been tried before. This gentleman here, Sunderboot, calls into the Atheist Experience Show and asks them to provide some type of proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct, and the Atheist Experience Show has nothing. They don't answer the question. They actually hang up on the caller. In this video over here, when you go to Ian Mathwiz, this guy right here, his channel, Matt completely snaps on the Atheist Experience Show, this guy gets told to shut the F up. And all people are asking is, what proof and evidence do you have that atheism is accurate and correct? See, the atheists can dish it out, but they can't take it, can they, folks? This is why atheists are now the least trusted group in society. So when you go to chaka.net, you'll see that the atheist really has no arguments for their atheism, and the lame, weak, outdated, if you want to even call it an argument, where they say that they don't believe that God exists, it doesn't prove that atheism is true. There's lots of people that claim they don't believe something. Do you know atheists used to believe that the universe is eternal? And you know the atheists were proven wrong on that also. Now the Christians always believe, because Scripture says that in the beginning God created, and it talks about God creating the universe and there being a beginning of the universe. So the Christians were right about that science. The atheists were wrong. So that's a good example right there of how just because you say you believe something, how the atheists say they believe they're right, doesn't mean that they're right. So the atheist really has a lazy way of using philosophy and rational thinking. I mean, it's just not good. Let's go to another reason why people are saying no to atheism. Do you know it's been proven that when people think of kind, loving, charitable people, they actually think of Christians. You know, Christianity has an excellent reputation throughout the world. I was in a debate once, and I was asking the audience, I said, who would you rather have coming towards you in a dark alley, 5 Christians with Bibles or 5 atheists just coming out of a Richard Dawkins seminar? And everyone was like, well, of course I'd rather have, and even atheists were like, yeah, I'd rather have the Christians coming towards me. If you're in a dark alley and let's say you're a female, you're going to feel a lot safer when people are coming towards you in the alley that believe in objective moral values and objective truths and things like that. And you know, the atheist regimes have murdered hundreds upon hundreds of millions of people, more than Christianity ever could do and could ever catch up with. And the Christian worldview says to, treat others as you would have them treat you. But on atheism, everything's subjective, isn't it? And on atheism, you're just an animal, isn't it? And hey, when a lion, kills a zebra in the jungle, there's nothing morally wrong with that, right? So this is why you get articles like this right here. So where are the atheist hospitals? You ever notice the hospitals have like Christian names, like and theistic names, St. Jude, St. Martha's, St. John, St. Peter? By far the majority of the goodwill and the good that's being done in the world is by Christians. Where are the atheist hospitals? I haven't seen any. But you know what I have seen? I have seen atheists throw money at billboards saying God is not great. Oh, they do that. I've seen atheists put up bus benches saying you can be good without God. Now, don't you think that money would be better spent helping, people rather than bashing God? Again, we shall reap what we sow. Now, we talked about atheists having no objective purpose in life. This is another reason why atheism is declining worldwide. Do you know an atheist has no objective purpose in life? Since the universe on their worldview is going to die and they say that God's not going to step in to save it, when you think about it, any good that an atheist does, nobody will remember it. Because on their worldview, remember, it all ends in death. We should have a bumper sticker that says, friends don't let friends stay atheists. Because atheists also have the highest suicide rate in the world. You don't kill yourself because your worldview is healthy. You kill yourself because your worldview is depressing and because you're not happy about it. Let's go to the last one here. Why do people say no to atheism, folks? The reason why they say no to atheism is because there is no proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. I'm going to show you something. Type this in on YouTube. Type in proof atheism is madness, this is hilarious, and go to this channel, Shock of God. And this is the #1 most subscribed to atheist on YouTube right now, the amazingly hellbound atheist. And you're going to see him admit that he cannot prove that atheism is accurate and correct. Now you're also going to see Matt here, he doesn't cuss in this one, so it was good. We don't have to wash his mouth out with soap this time. But you're going to see Matt here being asked to provide proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct, and he can't answer it. Now, if you look over here where it shows a picture of a Bible and it says, Shock of God calls into atheist radio show hilarious. This is an absolute hilarious video where I call into an atheist show and I challenge them to provide proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. And finally, at the end, they admit that the only evidence they have, and I'm going to quote them, is their say-so. In other words, just their opinion. Really, my atheist friends? This is why atheism is now on the decline worldwide, folks. So we went through 11 reasons why people say no to atheism. You want to see all those videos I just told you about? Go to chaka You can see the atheist cussing at the nice caller. You can see the proof atheism is madness. You can see the video where the #1 most subscribed to atheist on YouTube admits they cannot prove that atheism is accurate and correct. Remember what I taught you, folks. Remember, if there were no God, there would be no atheist. Please click share below this video. Send this to your atheist friends. Maybe you and I together can snap them out of it. We've got to snap them out of it. They've been brainwashed, and it's our job to unbrainwash them. Tell them to visit our free Atheist Unbrainwashing Center when they go to www.chakanow.net. Don't forget to hold your mouse over more here, and you get a free audio Bible. We have our own radio station there. You can listen to us in debate. If you want to hear something really funny, you've got to hear some debates I've had with atheists where I've asked them what proof and evidence can you provide that proves atheism is accurate and correct. And some of them cuss, some of them get mad, some of them stutter and stammer. Some of them sweat real bad on their forehead like this gentleman here or this lady here on her forehead. They do not like that question. I challenge all theists out there. When you see an atheist, ask them that question. What proof and evidence do you have that would prove atheism is accurate and correct? What they're going to say is they just don't believe that God exists. And then remember what I taught you. Ask them, say, well, what if the Muslim says they don't believe that atheism's the way to go? They don't believe atheism's right. Does that then make Islam true? No, folks, we need proof and evidence. This is why I love Christianity. Go to chakanow.net, get a bunch of free stuff there, free audio Bible. You can listen to our radio show. You can listen here to the atheist admitting Jesus Christ could have risen from the dead. Thanks for watching, guys, and you have a great week. Remember, this one here too, click this one where the guy evades all the questions. The one right below that is great. There's this huge audience, and this lady stands up in the crowd and point blank asks the atheist, what proof and evidence do you have that atheism is accurate and correct? And the atheist is tongue-tied. In front of a live audience, it's great. www.chakanow.net. Do not be faithless, ladies and gentlemen, but believe. God bless you. I love you. Have a great week.